Howdy. This is Sunday School with Miss Wesley. I'm so glad you've taken the opportunity to push on this video to further your knowledge in the Bible. Whether you are a well-knowledged individual or you are just beginning, I try to teach to all levels. So, let's get started. We are in our 7th lesson of our series of the godly connection. If you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? To know more about this lesson plan, you can go check it out on my YouTube page. Let's get back to where we are. We are on our 7th lesson, and this lesson is about peer pressure is the best way I can put it, or overcoming the fear of what people think, which is what peer pressure is. So I'm going to start this lesson by giving you what's in my hand. Now, I give you a rock. So, you can go ahead and speak to your rock if you want to. My Sunday school kids absolutely love this part of the lesson. They wanted to turn their rocks into pets, so they took them home. They drew them and everything. So, I want you to speak to your rock. Just talk to it, whatever you want to say to it. I'll give you a moment. Okay, did you talk to your rock? Alright. Now let's find out what the rock's for. As you can see, I have another big rock right here. This is the lesson. That's part of the lesson. Okay. I once heard a speaker say that people don't care about what you know until they know what you care about. How much you care. Yeah, that's how it goes. People don't know what care. People don't care about what you know until they know how much you care. I got a question for you. What do you care about? What do you care about? What is your passion? What do you care about? I love what my kids said. My Sunday school class said, I care about my rock. And then when I told them what the rock represented, I asked them, what do you think the rock represents? I don't know. Jesus! You're right! That's what your rock represents. The rock of ages, which is Jesus. People don't care about what you know until they know how much you care. If we care about Jesus, shouldn't we tell them? And then where our lesson is. If we care so much about God, here's where our lesson is. I know I've taught a lot about Moses, but it makes up like 3 or 4 books in the Bible. And this story is very important. So, the Israelites, it would be the Israelites at that time, or the Hebrews, had come to Canaan, and they saw Canaan, and God told Moses that he would deliver Canaan to them. If you don't know, Canaan was their promised land. That's why they left Egypt. So, they decided that the giants were too big, and they didn't trust God enough to let him do his thing. So they decided to wait. So they ended up wandering around in the desert for a whole generation gone. They went wandering into the desert, waiting to have the strength to go up against these giants. And Moses didn't tell him a thing about going into the land. So the Israelites, every time something would happen. They would get hungry. They get thirsty. They get hot. They go to Moses and complain. We're too hungry. Well, this time, they got thirsty. They were wandering in the desert. So they came to Moses and they complained to Moses and Aaron. Aaron, Moses' brother, who was the priest. And so Moses and Aaron go to God. And God told them to go to a rock and speak to it. Told Moses to go speak to the rock. And water would come forth. So, if those that don't know, Moses had a speaking impediment. He stuttered. Moses stuttered. Yes. And I imagine Hebrew and stuttering is not a good idea. I mean, it just... He had a complex about it. He was conscious about the stuttering. And not only that, but Moses saw himself as a leader. But Moses also, as a man of God, Moses, he went up and he even seen God. This is how close Moses was to God. But he also was influenced by the perception of people around him, of what they thought about him. Now, when God spoke to Moses, he gave him a rod. And this is the same rod he used. He threw it down before Pharaoh, and it turned into a snake and ate up all the Pharaoh's armies. Pharaoh's magician snakes and whatnot. So they come to this rock, and the people of Israel were all around them watching them. So Moses, God told him, you got to speak to that rock. Instead of speaking to the rock, Moses hit the rock, and the water came forth out of the... Come on now. Work before. Out of the rock. And the water came flowing out of it. And the Israelites got to drink. But Moses didn't do what God wanted him to do. All he had to do was speak to the rock. Because this wasn't the first time Moses had chosen the perception of how he looked to others over what God had said. Moses condemned a whole generation so that they couldn't go into the promised land. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years. And only 2 out of that whole generation came out because they were the youngest. That was Joshua and Caleb, and they led the Israelites into Canaan. Now, even Moses and Aaron died. Moses never got to go to the promised land. All because he let what people thought about him dictate. Now, what does the saying, people don't care about what you know until they know how much you care? The Israelites have, as I have stated before, they had spent so much time in Egypt, they didn't remember who God was. They didn't know who God was. They didn't know his even basic they had started worshiping the Egyptian gods. So they thought of God like one of their gods, one of the Egyptian gods. And every time something happened, it was his wrath upon them, or he was a trickster god. Or if Moses had cared about what God thought over what the Israelites thought, maybe they would have started caring about Moses' God and what Moses' God was doing, what Moses' God can do. Because Moses came, I mean, even seeing God, he was so shiny they had to put a veil on him. At every point, every time something would happen, Moses had a chance to show who God was. And instead, he chose to be dictated by what he wanted them to think. Because he was scared to step out of that bound, to step out and show everybody, this is who I am. This is who my God is. Don't you want to know my God? He's wonderful. He's not leading us to something bad. He's leading us to something good. Can't you see it? Here's what he's doing. Let me speak to the rock. Let me show you I don't even have to touch it. My God is the one who does things. My God is the one who is taking care of us. But no, he chose to think, well, if I do this, they're going to whisper about me. If I do this, they're going to talk about me and make me some sort of... I don't want that. I don't want that. Now let's translate this into our time. People are looking at you and your life and who you are. You know, I told my Sunday school class this quite often. Sometimes the only light in this world that somebody's going to see is you. You're the only reflection of God they're ever going to see. Sometimes they don't even know the Bible, and you're the only Bible they're ever going to know. You are very important in how your relationship is with God. Sometimes you don't even have to speak. Sometimes people see God in how you act on your day-to-day life. Sometimes you don't even have to talk to them. You just have to show them who you are. And they will come to you and want to talk to you. Just like Moses, all he had to do was speak to the rock. And the rock can be a symbol of just speaking to Jesus. Sometimes praying when no one else is praying, you know, can show them that you have something more, that you actually believe in something more. And yes, sometimes they're going to make fun of you. Just like Moses was scared, they were going to make fun of him, or they were going to be scared of him, or they're going to think that I'm weird and they're going to want to lock me up. But if you speak to the rock is Jesus, and that when they see that you care, then you care. We live in a world that says, I don't care. As Christians, we should care, and we should want more for the people around us. Because there's an importance there. We are bringers of life, not death, not hatred, not anything that the world's trying to tell them that we are. We are the opposite. All we want is to bring peace to people. And they are in search of it. And like I said, they don't care to know how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And if you show them that you care about God, they're going to want to know. And when they're going to want to know, you need some knowledge. And that's where learning about the Bible comes in handy. You might not be the best scholar, and that's okay. You don't have to be the best. But they're going to want to know the basics. And that is where it's just important. So, don't forget to speak to your rock. And let the other people around you see the reflection of Jesus in you. Whether it's in small things or big things. Whether you don't even talk to them at all. Sometimes that's the best way to communicate with someone. Is just to show them who you are. That you are a child of the Most High God. And no matter what you do or say, people are going to think what they're going to think. So sometimes the best way is just to live your life according to God's purpose, not man's purpose. Talk to your rock. Don't hit it. Why would you hit Jesus? Okay, that's week's lesson. Next week, we are going to be doing the power of prayer. Oh my gosh, we're going to be talking to our rocks again. You're going to need these things. Toilet paper rolls. I tell you now because it's going to be fun what we're going to do next week. Or next lesson. Alright, I love you guys. God loves you. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it.